All right. Hey, welcome back to Product Coffee. Good to see everybody. Got our first cup panel here today, and we got. I'm so excited about today's session. I can't wait to get to the top of the hour and get into the meat of it. But first, we had a great discussion going on about an article that Allison found last week or earlier this week. And so we want to get started with our first cup. And so let's just introduce our first cup panelists this morning. And let's start out with right at the top center of your screen. She stirred up more innovation than a bartender at a tech mixer. Let's welcome Edie Kirkman, VP of Digital at GoTo Foods. And then we've got the sage of Agile and the king of the Greek festival conga line. Let's welcome Jerry Odenwelder, product coach at C Prime. Now, she might be a tad brain dead from last night's concert, but her hot takes on product are always alive and kicking. Give it up for Allison Herbert, senior product owner at Milliken and Company. And he's launched more startups than a Silicon Valley pitch fest and survived both a night with Dennis Rodman and walking on hot coals. Let's hear it for David Eckoff, the fearless head of accelerator and operations at Synergy's Work. All right, welcome everybody. So, we're talking this morning about The Narrowing Path, Navigating Product Leadership in 2025 by Holly Hester-Reilly. She is the founder of the Product Science Group. And so in this article, and I think Kelly is dropping the link to the article in there for those of you who haven't seen it. So this article takes a really sharp, no fluff case that today's product leaders need less vision board vibes and more CFO fluency. They need AI savvy and political jujitsu to actually survive. She lays out there are six specific challenges. That's actual six right there, that are facing product leaders in 2025. So my question is, what does modern product leadership really require? And how do we rise to the challenge in a post-FAANG AI saturated world? So let's get started. I want to start with you, Edie. And first of all, let me just ask you this question. And I know you've got some thoughts as well, but serious question. If you can't speak EBITDA, should you even be in the room as a product manager these days?
So, depending on who you're talking to. So, if you're talking to your engineering leader, then no, because they probably don't necessarily understand that anyway. So, I think just as anything, know your audience, right? We actually support multiple audiences as product leaders and product managers. Yes, you are playing to, kind of your corporate C-level SVP level folks, but at the same time, we are working across our engineering partners, bringing them along the way. If you're speaking EBITDA to your engineers, they're not going to follow. So you need to figure out how to translate what it means in terms of business, in terms of what they're delivering and the objectives that we are trying to accomplish together, and then translate that to where your engineering team will follow you. So I think that it's a little bit of both sides. You as a product manager definitely need to understand it, and you need to understand how does that measure the outcomes you're delivering for the company, and then also understand what challenges that you may have because sometimes we work on products that's not in direct alignment with a specific new growth outcome, right? If you're on legacy systems and that kind of stuff. So it's just depending on the situation with that you're in and the audience you're in, but you definitely have to know it.
Yep. And so I didn't mean to hijack what you had kind of come to the table with. Was there something that I kind of stole away from you there?
I think it covers a lot. It talks about like what skills and what know-how that you need. At the end of the day, is that product straddles between business and technology, and that we need to be well immersed into it all as far as like what's new and emerging. And AI is just a next new and emerging thing that we need to add to our toolkits, and then be able to understand and help guide our organization into not chasing the shiny new thing or using AI as an enabler to accomplish something that we've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you, Edie. Jerry, over to you. So, are we training product leaders or are we just promoting the loudest product managers?
Think we're training product leaders. I think I didn't take issue with any of her any of her challenges. The challenges she called out, I thought were all spot on. Um, and where, I mean, in my experience in customer sites, I see this all the time. I see a lot of these challenges um, jumping out, especially when I go into non-product companies. If I'm in a company who was, you know, traditional, I don't know, traditional banking, traditional manufacturing, traditional whatever, um, and now they've moved into this product model. I do see a lot of these struggles in there, and I see especially like when she talked about, I think it was number 5, was talking about uh, the experimentation infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
um, when you know those FAANG product folks, or honestly even anybody who's been in one of those organizations moves into these more traditional companies. um, I've had people pull me aside in classes and say, "Hey, can you help emphasize the need for experimentation and help our people understand how to do this?" Because I think there is a real struggle when you've come from that highly experimental, we will release anything because we can roll back quickly, um, cultures, to one that, like, I was working with a customer last year that it took them 3 to 6 months to get something out the door. From the time it left the developer's desk, it was still 3 to 6 months before it was in a customer's hands. And um and so that difference in culture is striking.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And Allison, I think you're in a really great position to talk about that a little bit because you come from you're in a company that is not what we would think of as a traditional technology products company. The author was talking about this in her article that a huge percentage of product managers out there today are actually in these companies that don't align with the tech space. So from your perspective, is big tech experience a gold star or is it a red flag as you're thinking about people who join the team there at Milliken?
A caution flag? Can we use that instead?
Sure, sure.
Gold Star, maybe some companies that are looking to rapidly speed their digital transformation along are going to look at those FANG product managers. Those got big titles, big experiences under my belt, and right, therefore they can come and build product for us the right way. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that because, right, we know you can take anybody and put them anywhere if they don't understand the decision making, the culture, how things happen at a company, it's going to slow or maybe even completely derail even the best laid plans.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's some opportunity there to say, right, we can go get X, FANG PMs and put them on our team. But if we don't have a structure to support that, or we don't have a decision-making structure that supports, right, that experimentation that Jerry indicated, things that they've never practiced, because they haven't completed, some of those necessary fundamental product leadership explorations and or structures, you're just burning people at that point. So I think there's some definite opportunity there. You asked me, and I went completely on the caution thing. So again,
No,
I will
that's cool.
poor tired brain. So tell me what else you're looking for there, and see if I can answer anything else. Because there's a couple things in the article. To your point, right? My experience has been, yep, you can put us in there. But if is are we going to be in an environment where we're going to have the opportunity to thrive? I say we like I'm part of them. I'm not. I came from a different. I'm a career switcher. I've whittled my way in to product, but I really think it's about bringing through you're setting aside some of those biases. You're setting aside some of the, I built it here at this big company.
Mm-hmm.
I can't rinse, lather, repeat that in every instance because there's so many nuances of businesses that isn't going to translate and isn't going to work. And that's the human part. I think Edie said it well at the top, right? We are that connection between business and technical, and that's going to look a little bit different in every organization. So you have to keep that in as a factor. So I think that's the caution flag I put there.
So, and I would agree. And David, you work with a lot of different companies. You've created companies. You've been part of startups, and you've worked and consulted with a wide variety of companies. So when we're talking about these modern challenges, and even just going back to basics, do you still need to love spreadsheets to be in product in current times?
Do you still Need to love spreadsheets. Little known fact, I got my start in accounting and finance in my career. So I didn't love spreadsheets then, but I do love spreadsheets now as a tool. Um, but you talked about going back to basics. In this article, the thing that got my attention is they talked about 6 critical challenges facing today's product leaders, and they laid out 6 things in this interesting article. I didn't see anything in this entire article that said anything about understanding your customers.
Hmm.
And that really made me think. Um, if you're a product leader in today's environment facing these challenges, I think nothing can be, there's no more important a skill than to be able to understand the truth about your customers. Because you can do all this, everything else on this right. You can get AI right. You can get your the language expression, whatever it is on here. If you don't understand your customers, everything else you're doing doesn't matter.
Hmm.
So I don't understand the point of this article without mentioning customers. So that's a point I'd like to make today.
I think that's a fair call out. And, as one of the things she did talk about was this proliferation of AI and how it's transforming both the product management job and the opportunities for technology. And one of the things that was not kind of part of that solution, and I'll be interested, and this was kicking off a series of articles, and I'm looking forward to reading the next installment as well, because as she goes through, I suspect she's going to talk about antidotes to challenges, and I can't imagine an effective conversation, especially on the AI impact, without leaning really hard into that customer connectivity that product management is intended to bring to the table. And what she did do well, and what the article did articulate very well, is there was a long period of time where product managers could focus, product and designers as well. I want to put designers in this as well, and innovators could focus almost completely on the customer value side without being held accountable to business impact. And so she did make a really good case of that's got to come back together in these modern times. And the last thing that I really appreciated that she hit on, and I've done some of my own research on this, that she really hit on this over-reliance on subject matter expertise in product roles. Now,
Yes.
you've got a marketplace where you've got a lot of subject matter expertise available with some product management training, so that's kind of changed the market dynamics. But 60%, if we're at currently 60% of the open product management roles versus the 2022 peak, and we talked about that back when Lenny came out with that article in Lenny's newsletter. If the opportunities are so few, relatively speaking, then you've actually got more opportunities to get both product management experience and subject matter expertise, which makes it harder for people to break into new fields and new career spaces. And so that's a real challenge for leadership. And I look at it a slightly different way, is that it makes it hard for strong product people to move into new, interesting career spaces because there's a subject matter expert there that may not have the same product strength, but has a combination that's attractive to the hiring team.
Yeah.
The layoff trend was very popular over the past 3 years of
Mhm.
just everybody, regardless product, engineering. When it comes down to it, if you lay off teams and engineers, you definitely do not need as many product people. If you decide that you're not going to invest in new and innovation and all of that kind of stuff, you don't need as many product people. But I would argue that majority of those people were never product people in the first place.
Yep.
They have product roles, but they were not product managers. And I think lots of trends created that, right? Product management is not a thing that you ever went to school for, but it's something that you kind of falling into one way or the other. And a lot of, I would say, the product management teams that I've encountered going into new organizations over the 10 years were product management teams created by Scrum.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
like, we don't know what to do with business analysts. We don't know what to do with, project managers. So we're just going to make them product managers.
Mm-hmm.
So from that sense, I would say that product management, it needs to get refined, and those statistics, I wouldn't really go by that. I think that there are some very ineffective product management teams inside of organizations.
Yeah.
Absolutely bang on as always. Thank you, Edie. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, David. Let's swing out and take a look and welcome our community here. Hey, everybody. If you have not been to Product Coffee before, this isn't a webinar. It's not a podcast. This is a meetup. So we really invite you and encourage you to turn on your camera. We'd like you to join us. We'd love to get your take. If you have a take on the conversation we've been having in the last few minutes, I'd really love to hear if you've got a challenge that you've personally faced or seen navigating today's product leadership gauntlet, as we might say, which is what we've been talking about here for the first few minutes. And we'll switch into our main program in about 13, 14 more minutes as well, where and I'm looking forward to that. But if you'll turn on your camera or raise your virtual hand, I would love to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the Product Coffee audience. Tell us what has your attention right now, as well as, if you've got a take on this navigating product leadership in 2025, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And let me jump down first to Seth. Seth, how are you?
Hello. I see. I get pick first when I come to these.
That's because we don't see you often
How
enough.
are you? I know. I'm telling you. Doing great. So for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Seth Pelletier. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management at a HR software technology company called Dayforce. Currently, my primary focus is I had the pleasure of been there for like, I don't know, going on 6 years, but I primarily focus on new product development. So I spent the first 2.5 years building out a new product in we'll call it like HR payment space. And now I've spent past 2 years building a new product and launching it more like aligned to HR software, but effectively like a on-demand talent marketplace. So think the best way to do it, even though I don't like the analogy, is Uber for work.
Okay.
Things that are keeping me up. Shockingly enough, like right now, and it kind of goes to the conversation that we led off with. Right now, like everything from a product roadmap perspective and everything we're pumping out from a product feature perspective is exactly where we need to be. It's now a challenge of influencing and speeding up the sales cycle and getting customers engaged to where they're wanting to like actually activate and start using the product more. It's like the feature set is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird problem because from the dev side and from a product side, like we're cool, we're rolling with our releases every couple of weeks, and everything is working as planned. It's the getting the sales cycle to speed up and get more customers through the door and more people on the platform,
Mm-hmm.
which is a different problem than I've had to solve for, at least try to influence before. There's not much the product can do to do that, except for me being really obnoxious about asking about statuses of every new deal that's coming in.
Yep, I can relate. I've heard that situation a few times. You're right. It's kind of like, it's almost like the hierarchy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is now you've kind of gotten to a certain point, and now you're working on a completely different set of issues. You've got your product out. It's feature complete or feature complete enough in order to meet the use cases. Now it's activation instead of self-actualization.
Yep, absolutely.
Very cool. So yes, a common issue. Would love to hear maybe grab a conversation, hear about the things that you're trying, and what we might learn from your experiences there along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Welcome. We have got to jump into our main program this morning because we've got a great guest today, and I know that he is going to pack every bit of value into every second that we give him. So I want to get to him really quickly.